So I will record every session. Okay, so you can go back and watch the video if you tend to forget or fell asleep during class. Okay. So instead of that long video that I always share in advance on YouTube, I will just be sharing, okay, our lecture classes, okay? So if you have anything or you still don't understand, we can still discuss in class or via WhatsApp or whatsoever, okay? But the thing is, I will be sharing because there are 3 classes, okay, these theory classes. So if you don't understand the videos from this class, you can watch the other classes video, okay? All right. So let's continue from where we left off, okay? So we stopped at critical theory. Okay, and we've already discussed neo-Marxism, right? So you can see the transition, right? Can you see the slides, everybody?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Yes, madam.
Yes, madam.
Yes.
So this means, all right, you have seen the transition from critical theory, okay, that is very strict and rigid, okay, coming from the idea of Marxism, okay, talking about revolution, trying to change and force things, okay, into neo-Marxism. All right, I've already discussed what is neo-Marxism, okay. It is still considered critical because it still questions the status quo. All right, and it still adopts the Marxist idea in the sense that it thinks that everything is trying to support capitalism. Okay, but okay, the unique change when it comes to neo-Marxism is that it focuses on culture. Okay, when we talk about critical theory, it's mostly talking about structure. No structures, okay, like the ownership of things, economy, politics, okay, that's why you have the political economy theory. All right, but now, okay, they say that the influence, okay, and the power is really within culture. All right, that during that time in the 60s, okay, especially, capitalism won the Cold War via culture. Okay, they managed to influence people all around the world, okay, in Asia, in the Middle East, to adopt the capitalist ideas because they transmit those ideas through culture. What do we mean through culture? Through what we eat, okay, through what we listen to, through what we wear, and most of this culture is transmitted via media content, okay. So that is why Karl Marx says the media, okay, is like an opium. All right, the media drugs the people. Okay, so this is the idea of neo-Marxism. Okay, so you can see the transition. Okay, and they talk about culture, cultural industries, and hegemony. Now we want to discuss British cultural studies. This one is a much softer approach than Marxism and neo-Marxism. Okay, this one is derived, it is still considered neo-Marxist, okay, because it still questions status quo. But, okay, its approach, okay, is less talking about strict power relations, okay. The unique idea of British cultural studies is that it doesn't only see that the elites or the status quo wants to control the people, but it also considers that the people are actually having some kind of power to challenge the status quo. Okay? But the idea of British cultural studies came from a British scholar called Raymond Williams. He is popular in explaining or coming up with the term that culture is ordinary. Okay? So what does he mean culture is ordinary? What is ordinary? Ordinary is everyday things, right? It's not things that is, what we call it? It's not like a spectacle, okay? What is ordinary? The food you eat every day is ordinary, okay? The clothes you wear every day is ordinary, okay? So here they say, this you can see is almost similar to the idea of neo-Marxism when they identify that it's about culture. Okay, so here, this is taking what, is it transmission or ritual perspective? Cultural studies. Transmission or ritual? Hmm?
Ritual? Is it ritual?
Ritual. Okay? Ritual. Always remember culture. When they mention culture, it's ritual. Again, what is ritual? When message or information is received and transmitted, okay, via a complex interrelation of different things. Not like transmission, which is source and receiver. Okay? So although Raymond Williams, who came up with the idea that culture is ordinary, it is this guy whose name is Stuart Hall, okay, that is credited for popularizing the British cultural studies. Now, when we talk about critical studies, okay, it was the idea of the communist Karl Marx. And then when we talk about neo-Marxism, it's the Germans, okay, who has experience living in the West, but also has experienced authoritarian communist-like government. Okay, but when we talk about later on post-positivism or capitalism, okay, is the ideas of the Americans. So what I'm trying to say that each of these theories, okay, again is a representation of the experience of the theorists, those people who come up with a theory, because it is based on their life experience. So who is this Stuart Hall? So he's an African, but not American, okay? He then went to the UK to study, okay? So he brought with him a different concept of ideas, okay? So for the blacks, okay, we've discussed the issue of Black Lives Matter in the class before when we talk about culture, okay, about the maintenance of status quo, right? So if we talk about the maintenance of status quo, right, we talk about how the black people are always discriminated, okay, and that the system are always against them. If we were to consider it in that sense, then it means that the black people in general have no power whatsoever, that they are always at the losing end. But as you can see, okay, in the world that we live in, there are many very powerful and successful black people. Okay, that black people have created their own industry, for example. Okay, they are more prominent in the arts and entertainment world. Okay, so what does that mean? It means, okay, that there are agency. There's agency. Agency, that means there's, despite this control that's going on around, despite the status quo, people, individuals still have the ability to challenge the status quo. But through this idea of British cultural studies, they don't challenge the status quo through revolution, as proposed by Marxist theory. They challenge the status quo through their everyday life, through their own culture that is ordinary. What does this mean? Can you understand? Okay. So here, when I mentioned about the idea of Stuart Hall, all right. So he himself is a black man, but he became successful, okay, and a successful scholar. And you hardly see a black successful scholar at that particular time. So he considers, okay, his ability, okay, to challenge the status quo at that time was through his everyday desires and his everyday experiences. Can you follow or not?
Madam, I have a question.
Yeah, sure.
So, in this time, is it considered during this time, right? Is the culture in British are they racist towards black people or yes or no during this time?
All right. So during this time, okay, this was around the 60s, 70s, 80s. Okay, even until today, okay, I want you to understand, right? The idea of racist here is not necessarily meaning that they're being really bad or discriminating the black people or other ethnic groups. It is just that the system that they live in, whether they realize or don't realize, have always privileged, okay, the white people. Can you understand? All right?
Yes.
So sometimes, okay, this even at that particular time, the discrimination does not happen overtly or literally, okay, but it is systemic, okay. Systemic in the sense, for example, in academia, probably they say, it's better to have a white dean or a white head of department. Okay, so this was something that he also experienced. Okay, but according to him, okay, you can't always be blaming the status quo. You know, you can't expect white people to do all the changes. You must be helping the white people to understand the situation. Because even until today, I think most Americans don't understand. They don't feel that they've discriminated the black people. Okay, because they've never been, for example, mean to these people. Right? But what they don't understand, the problem is in the system. So according to Stuart Hall, to change this, we must change the system through everyday life, through cultures. And to him, for example, okay, by being the black man in academia at that time, he has introduced the idea of a black and successful man among his white counterparts. Can you understand what I'm saying or not? Okay, so it's not via revolution or hegemony, but it's through everyday ordinary cultures. Okay, so when it comes to media, it is considered, okay, because when we talk about critical cultural theories, okay, political economy theory, neo-Marxism, they see media as very negative because media is seen as the tool that is being used by the status quo. Okay, but for British cultural studies, they say instead of that, we see the media, okay, as a pluralistic public forum. Okay, pluralistic public forum, the idea that media may provide a place where the power of dominant elites can be challenged. Okay, you know what's pluralistic? A plural society, okay, where the society is composed of many different groups, but we coexist, where we respect one another. We don't really want to be like the other, but we accept one another. And pluralism is in the sense is that we accept differences in this, how do we say? We accept differences, but we acknowledge that we are the same. For example, okay, I am acknowledging, okay, I'm a Malay, okay, I have a Chinese friend, okay, he has his own beliefs, I have my own belief, but we're the same because we're all Malaysians. Plural, can you follow? Okay, so you can do whatever you want to practice your religion, I practice my religion. Can you follow? Okay. So if we can acknowledge that different people have different unique characteristics, okay, and if we can respect that, then we can allow what we call as a public forum. Okay, can you understand or not? Okay, so instead of seeing media as the bad or the what we call it, the anti-hero, okay, or the bad person, we see the media as a place where we can discuss and work together. Okay? But although we say that the media is a pluralistic public forum, okay, we must always remember that cultural studies is still part of critical studies. So even though this is the idea, it still acknowledges that the media is owned by certain group of people that wants to maintain status quo. Can you follow or not? Yeah? That means the status quo is there. You cannot challenge the status quo through revolution. But what you can do is slowly live your everyday life and probably challenge the status quo every here and there, okay? And then probably slowly the status quo will change. If we want to see this, if we give the example of media as a pluralistic public forum, yes, I've already mentioned to you, right? When we talk about critical theory, okay, we see how the black people are always seen as the criminal, right? Or how the black people are portrayed as gangsters in movies. But nowadays, you can also see many stories that acknowledge, okay, the lives, the everyday life of the African American. What do we mean the everyday life of the African American? We see movies that portray a black man as a good father. Okay, we see movies that portray a black woman as very intelligent and successful. Okay, so when we see movies that portray these images, this movie does not challenge, does not revolt against the status quo, but it gives us a different view, okay, of the lives of the minorities. And probably because of this ability to watch the black people living their everyday life just like everyone else, okay, it allows, hold on ya Gamon, it allows people, okay, to understand, okay, that this status quo is problematic. All right, yes, Gamon.
Doctor, you mentioned about one of the example in the video of the British cultural studies is the study of Janice Treadway.
Okay.
But then, for Janice Treadway, are they trying to show the inequalities when it comes to gender?
Yes, very good. Okay. All right. So Gamon asked about Janice Treadway. Okay, I will get to Janice Treadway very shortly after this. All right. So I'm talking about pluralistic public forum. Okay. I'm trying to give you an example of how images of black people can challenge the status quo. Okay. The images of black people being ordinary. Black people as good father, intelligent woman. Okay. Can you follow? All right. So these say culture, so this view suggests that culture is the site of social struggle and where changes can occur. That means we can change. We can challenge the status quo. Okay. But not through revolution. Not through trying force, but through everyday, what we call it, practices. I gave you this example of Janice Treadway. So this is her book. Okay, so Janice Treadway is a feminist, okay, but she uses cultural studies. Okay, now when we talk about feminism, although I will not discuss feminism specifically, but feminism is part of critical theory, because feminism challenges status quo. What status quo? They are specific, which is the male status quo. Feminism challenges patriarchy. You know what's patriarchy? Patriarchy is male domination. Okay? So, whenever you question a particular status quo, you are critical. It's part of critical theory. Okay? But reading the romance, okay, starts the idea of cultural studies and audience reception studies. Okay, why? Okay, if you take critical studies, they say, oh, all this romance novel is a bad thing. Because, okay, it's giving bad ideas to women. We only read about romance. We only read about, okay, or we aspire to have the rich and handsome husband or rich and handsome boyfriend. Okay? But if you take the culturalist view, like Redway, she says, we cannot underestimate the audiences and the women. If you keep saying that women who read romance novels are victims, then you are underestimating them and you maintain the status quo. So what she did was she studied the women. So she studied those women who read romance novel. Okay, so the women in this class reads romance novel. Yes, Aina, you read romance novel? Huh? Yeah?
Not really.
Not really?
Not really.
You're missing a lot. You should. Okay? So, I don't know. So, the Malay girls also read romance novels. Okay? So, it is easy to ridicule people who read romance novel because maybe it's not academic. Okay? It gives you, it makes you imagine things. Okay? On one hand, you can make that assumption because it is true, quite true. Okay? But on the other hand, you can do what the culturalists do. Okay? You study those women. So here, when she studied those women, okay, this group of women who likes to read romance, okay, she identified, you know, these women, by reading the romance, they are challenging patriarchy. They are challenging, okay, male domination, male control. By how? By becoming more in control of what they like. So these women, they don't only read the books, okay, they started to create, book clubs. And then they started to discuss. And when they start to discuss, okay, they communicate among this group of women. Okay, and when they create this group of women, they create some kind of solidarity, they create a support group among them. Okay, so when they have this support group, these women started to have their own confidence. Okay, can you follow what I'm trying to say? That means there's more to reading this novel. Yes, Gamal?
For this theory, are they like aiming for balance when it comes to all groups? Because in the end, this theory, I mean, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but
yeah,
like in the end, one group will always be, they'll always be fighting for the equality of it, right?
Yes. Okay, yes, and this her study also is challenging the typical feminist ideas. Typical feminist theories are completely against all of these things because they say this is putting women back, okay, to a secondary place. Okay, if those are feminists that takes the critical ideas. Okay, but for those who do this is what we consider as pluralistic public forum. That means there are certain women, okay, that just enjoy reading romance. Okay, it's by nature they like romance. But you cannot say that because they like romance, they are weak. Can you follow? So this is a special group of people that found different ways to adapt with the situation, okay, and through reading the romance, they create book clubs, they become quite active, they become more participative. Can you follow what I'm saying? So based on their experience, in their own way, they are challenging the status quo. They are challenging the male domination, and at the same time, they challenge the typical feminist ideas of what a woman should be. Can you follow? All right? Okay? So this is what we mean by culture is ordinary. Okay? Reading a romance is ordinary. Creating book clubs is ordinary. But when we sit down and we analyze, then we can see, this is actually a dynamic thing that's going on. Okay, that these women are actually challenging some form of status quo. Can you understand or not? Okay, so that is the culturalist view. So reading the romance. Okay, so it's okay to read the romance. All right, but it's better to read the Quran. Okay, I know. All right. So British cultural studies. What is the strength? It asserts value to popular culture. That means romance, novel, films, okay, music, they have values. Not like what the Marxists say. Marxists says all this popular culture is just to divert your attention. Right? So how is it valuable? Like we discussed just now. Novel, romance novel, or films that show the everyday life of ordinary Black people. It has values. Okay? And it empowers common people because critical theories tend to see people as weak, okay? And it stresses cultural pluralism and egalitarianism. Pluralism means what? Again, all right, different people likes different things, for example. Okay, so you must respect that there's a group of women that likes romance, that they are very feminine, okay? But it doesn't mean that by being feminine, they are weak. Yeah? Why? Different groups have different ways, different cultures, so we must acknowledge that. Okay? So they develop audience reception research as a way of understanding media influence. Okay, this is actually the method, yeah, reception research. That means, okay, instead of just doing survey asking whether you like or don't like a particular content, they ask you to discuss. That means the study is more in-depth. Okay, like Janice Redway, when she studied those women, she stayed with those women to truly understand how the women conceive the ideas. Okay, so I think I don't need to discuss in detail. This is mostly methods if you study qualitative method. Okay. Again, the weaknesses is just like the weaknesses of all critical theories is that it's considered political. Okay, because still trying to challenge status quo. And it relies on qualitative research. What is qualitative research? We've discussed previously, okay? It is sometimes controversial because it does not give strong evidence. Okay? It does not give you the percentages of women who likes romance novel. How many of them become successful? They don't give you that kind of data. Can you understand? Because what they study is very detailed experiences of different groups of people. So when you study this group of people, okay, these feminine women who like romance novels, you can only make assumption about those group of people, not women in general. Understand? Okay? And sometimes it overlooks the subtle, indirect ways that elites control media and audience reception. Okay? Like we said just now, okay, when we discuss Janice Redway, or when we discuss Black people's experiences, okay, cultural studies will always get positive results. Why they get positive results? Because they're very optimistic of the audiences. Okay, and their method is qualitative. That means it's not objective. When they do the study, for example, Redway, when she studied, okay, she stayed with those women. I can't remember how many of them. So obviously, her interpretation, okay, is much influenced by her experience living together with those women. Okay. But if we were to look, okay, consider bigger relationships, we cannot deny that there will definitely be the maintenance of some kind of elite control. That when women read romance novels, yes, they become very happy, but at the same time, okay, who will be selling this romance novel? The same rich people. The same people who control the rest of the media. Okay, so you can see here when we talk about cultural studies, okay, when we talk about cultural studies, it's trying to be in the middle, not really so critical, and try to be positive, okay, quite positivist, okay, but as a result, okay, they are being criticized by both sides. All right, can follow? Okay, British cultural studies, okay. Now, how can we use, okay, critical theories, cultural studies to theorize media technologies? Okay, technology. Now, this is trying to apply critical cultural theory. Okay. Now, okay, why do we consider this? Because today we're talking about a lot of the development of media technology. Okay. So, what are the implications? Okay, because people always talk about the influence of social media, the influence of the internet, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so how can we use or apply this theory? Okay, some people who use critical theory, they are quite critical of the technology. Okay, so those people who believes that all social, political, economic, and cultural change is inevitably based on the development and diffusion of technology is considered a technological determinist. Okay, the theory is actually called technological determinism. Okay, now this is giving you example of a theory. Okay, so technological determinism, okay, says that, okay, anything social change, okay, cultural change is actually attributed to a particular technological development. Okay. Now, so some people argue, right? Okay, you look, now young people today are they always criticize, for example, because young people is too dependent on the internet. If somebody makes an assumption saying that the root of all problem is the internet, or the root of all problem is social media, then that person is considered a technological determinist. Can you understand? Okay. Of course, there are reasons also, that there is a basis to this theory, because we can see the changes in society before and after the internet. All right. The internet, did it bring a strong change? A significant change? It absolutely did. So technology does affect, does change a society. But unfortunately, the idea of technological determinism also discusses, the concept of bias of communication. Harold Innis is the guy, who came up with the idea that communication technology makes centralization of power inevitable. What does this mean? Bias of communication. Remember, we're focusing on technology, the medium, not the source, not the audience. The medium itself is the problem, according to this theory. Because the medium is biased. Which medium? Television is a medium. Television is just a machine. How can television be biased? But television has with it, characteristics, patterns of use, what we call it, trends that are definitely going to be biased to the particular status quo. How? All right. For example, I give you the example of who owns basically the internet. We say nobody owns the internet, right? They say internet is free. Nobody owns the internet. But, can we also say that Google owns the internet? Yes. Because we are all, most of us who are not that technologically savvy, we are all mostly using Google for everything. And when we use Google, we tend to follow whatever standards that Google set up. What do we mean standards that Google set up? That when we search for something on the Google search, we will only limit ourselves, to the data provided by Google. Can you understand or not? So our point of views or our knowledge about certain things has already been defined by Google, by the particular technology. So if I say, let's search, about, the origins of algebra. So you will find, probably you will go through 20 searches and you've already made up your mind. And those searches will lead you most probably to Western names. They won't lead you, for example, to the Islamic scholars that came up with all of these ideas. Can you follow or not? Personally, honestly, I don't even remember the Arab guy's name who came up with the idea of algebra. That's one. Khwarizmi. I don't know, maybe. Huh?
Khwarizmi.
Not Khwarizmi.
But he's Khwarizmi.
Pardon? Not him? I don't know. I know there's an Islamic scholar. All right? See, why? Because my mind has been set by the searches that I found on Google. Can you understand?
Al-Jabbar.
Yeah, Al-Jabbar.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Al-Jabbar? because it's algebra.
Yeah, it's literally named after him, kind of like. Yeah, it's Al-Khwarizmi Al-Jabair or something.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay, so it's algebra, right? I'm still waiting for a course on THEORIZING, okay? But point is, this is what we mean by bias. The social media, is it bias? Yes, because the social media forces us, okay, to be very, what we call it, to be open, okay, to be sharing everything about our life, okay. We have a Facebook page, we have an Instagram page, okay. What do we do with it? We want more followers. We want many followers, we want many friends, and we want to share, want to show everything. All right? Of course, that's what we want, right? That's what we want on our Instagram. You want people to see your photo. If not, why do you have it in the first place? Okay? So all of this, okay, can be a challenge to our own culture or our own values. As maybe Easterners or Muslims, okay, we are supposedly, okay, more traditional and conservative in the sense that we should be appreciating modesty. Okay, we're supposed to be modest people, right? But what's the use of being having an Instagram if you have to be modest? There's nothing to share, right? So this is what we mean by the bias of the technology. The technology itself has pushed us to become more open, less modest. Okay? What is that term again? All right, where you are so in love with yourself. You know.
Narcissism.
Yeah,
Narcissism.
Okay, all right. So it is pushing us to become more narcissistic, isn't it? Okay, you post your photo and then every 5 minutes you check how many likes. And then you check how many people comment. You put a nice photo of yourself, #unfiltered. Okay, woke up like this. Do you actually put your ugly face? No, of course you put your best face forward. All right. So it has made more people become more narcissistic. We want to tell the rest of the world that we eat expensive food. You don't share photo of you eating cheap food, right? You only share those expensive food. Okay? So all of this, okay, is quite a challenge to our values. Can you follow? So these ideas, okay, all right. Now you don't really pinpoint a particular theory to say it's culturalist, neo-Marxist, but it's all coming from the same idea of critical theory because they challenge, they ask questions, okay? They don't just accept. Can you follow? Like bias of communication, they question. Okay, Instagram, what is it for? At the end of the day, it's making you, okay, just like everyone else. Okay? Follow? And another idea of technological determinism is the concept of global village. I'm sure most of you are familiar, right, with the term of global village because the internet has made all of us global village. Okay? So it's the idea, okay, concept by Marshall McLuhan. Okay? So McLuhan came up with the idea of the global village. So McLuhan himself, okay, global village is a theory, okay. He discusses many concepts, okay, that relate. So McLuhan is a technological determinist because he explains culture, he explains society in relation to technological development. Okay, so in the 60s, when McLuhan came up, okay, theorized the global village, there was no internet just yet. Okay, there was there was internet, but it was not commercial, not used by everyday people, not like how we use it today. But even then, McLuhan, some people call him prophetic. Okay, he prophesied, okay, that in the future, new form of social organization emerge as instantaneous electronic media tie the entire world into one great social, political, and cultural system. Now, this is what we see today, right? Okay, that the internet has turned us into a global village. Okay, what is it? A village where people who live together, they share the same culture, okay, they share the same language, okay, they share almost everything, like they have a lot of similarities. Now, isn't this is what is going on with the internet? Okay, that everyone around the world, okay, are using the same media platforms. Okay, and most of us are using the same language. Okay, you may be using Hindi lah on your Instagram, or you use, I don't know what other language, Italian, French. You use different language to post on your Instagram, but in the end, we all post the same thing. Okay, can you get what I'm saying? Okay, that most of us, okay, you can be posting in Malay, in Indonesian, but you will be posting what you are wearing. Okay, although there may be unique cases of people who are not so into themselves, but in general, this is what Instagram, okay, or social media, or Facebook in general, or social media in general is making us become. We are all almost similar. Can you follow what I'm saying or not? Global village. Okay? And when it's global village, it becomes much more beneficial for the status quo. Why? Because the village has become very big. Okay, the status quo here, it could be the American government, it could be Google, it could be Facebook. All right? So the status quo, okay, has a bigger village to control. Can you follow or not? Okay, so global village is in relation to globalization. Okay, so that is why, okay, everyone will be wearing the same thing, will be shopping from or through what at Uniqlo or H&M, because we all have the same taste in clothes. Okay, so you become a Malaysian, you travel to Indonesia, but you go to H&M to buy something that is available in Malaysia. Okay, can you understand? Global village. And when we talk about the media, okay, it's definitely a global village, because when there is a, we call it box office movie, a popular movie, it will be watched around the world. It's gonna be the #1 film in Malaysia, it's gonna be the #1 film in Indonesia, or in Saudi, or in everywhere else. But that particular #1 movie will definitely be a Western movie. So while we are a global village, we are maintaining the status quo. Can you follow? All right.
Yes.
And the other idea, okay, of the technological determinism is that the medium is the message. All this while we're discussing content. Okay, we discuss, okay, the ideas, the ideology that comes within the media content. But to a technological determinist, content is second. It is the medium that is most powerful. You know what's medium or not? Medium is the particular media, which is television, radio. So it is saying here that radio and television, okay, is powerful because of its nature, not really because of its content. Okay, the idea that new forms of media transform our experience of ourselves and our society, and this influence is ultimately more important than the content of the message. Okay, like I've mentioned just now, Instagram, social media, it has changed our culture. How has it changed our culture? Because it has changed our everyday life, our traditions. It's not really the content. is the particular usage. Understand or not? Okay, the medium itself. Okay, how to differentiate? Different medium gives different impact, isn't it? Right, different medium gives different effects. Yeah, I think I shared in the video, is it right? When you have, or I always give these examples, okay, maybe some of you have experienced, I've shared with you this example. Okay, like Zaid, okay, how did you break up with your girlfriend? Huh? Haven't broken up yet?
She left.
Huh?
She left me.
Haven't broken up yet?
Previous relationships.
Okay, previous relationships. Okay, there's many. All right. So how did you do it?
She dumped me.
Okay, how did she dump you?
She ghosted me.
Ghost you. That
Yeah.
means he just ignored you?
Yep.
Okay. All right, this is even a more complicated example. Okay, never mind. She could have made it easier. Okay? She could have just called you. Okay, and say, this is not working. Okay? But instead, she ghosted you. Now, does that give you two different meanings?
Yep. Being
left in the ditch like that, okay, or being left well informed. Okay, now in both circumstances, in both examples, you are still being dumped, but the other is kinder than the other one, isn't it? Okay, and when it's kinder, that means the medium that she used, the approach is different. The approach is the message. Okay, can you hold on for a while? Okay. Hold on. Give me 2 minutes, all right? 2 minutes. Sorry. 2 minutes.
Madam.
Sorry. Okay, hold on.
Sure, madam. Zaid, okay tak?
Zaid.
okay.
Okay.
Okay, back.
Okay.
Nampak baru bangun ni.
Sekarang semua tahu.
Jawapan selamat ke?
Selamat sangat. Yalah, everyone experienced that, I guess.
Ini
All right, sorry, okay? It was Zaid's ex-girlfriend.
Okay, that's early, madam. I thought it's 2 minutes.
Okay, sorry, okay? It's just that my new package arrived.
Wow.
All right. Sorry, okay? That's the problem when working from home. Now, where was I? Medium is the message. Okay? If someone breaks up with you, okay, via text, is it different? The feeling, will it be different if he had broken up with you, okay, via a long conversation? Okay? Or using an email. So that means the different medium will send a different message. Okay, although the message is still that the relationship is over, but at least if that person broken up with you, okay, with long conversations, trying to explain, probably it also means, okay, that the relationship is more valuable than if he had broken up with you just via text. Can you understand? This is the idea of the medium is the message. Okay, can follow or not? All right? Okay. So this is what we mean, the medium is the message. To say that personal and social consequences of any medium, that is of any extensions of ourselves, result from the new skill that is introduced into our affairs by each extension of ourselves or by any new technology. It means here, okay, extension of man, that this new technology has changed our basic everyday life. Okay? And the change in that everyday life is actually a change in culture, okay, a change in values. And it's not that change, it's not really the content, it's because of the particular technology. Okay, can follow or not? Alright. So what is the strength of MCLUHANISM? Okay, or technological
Madam,
determinism? Yes, Ideal.
is there any slides? Because I can't see.
Oh my god. You mean all this while there's no slides?
Yeah.
Oh my god, sorry.
But since you get
Oh,
back
since
to
I went out just now.
yeah,
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
it's okay.
Okay, now can see? Can you see the slide?
Still no, madam. Oh yeah.
Yes.
Hold on, okay.
Oh,
Alright, sorry.
thank you,
Alright.
madam.
So MCLUHANISM, the strength is the theory is comprehensive. It explains exactly why technology is the problem. Okay, it is macroscopic. Okay, it actually resonates with the public in the 60s and 70s. Okay, it elevates cultural value of popular media content. Okay, so basically the strength is just like any other critical cultural theory. But the weakness is also the same because, okay, it is hard to be verified. It's hard to apply quantitative research, okay? And then it basically, okay, is very overly apologetic of electronic media. So here it talks about, okay, it's basically giving so much power to technology that sometimes it undermines the power of the audiences. And this questions the value of literacy, that people are not actually that passive, okay? Most of us are literate media users, okay? So of course, okay, the weakness of MCLUHANISM or any other critical theory is that it's very, okay, it makes big assumptions, right? Okay, so where are we? Okay, so here, last, okay? So this diagram, I hope, okay, will give you a better idea, okay, that summarizes the idea of critical theory, okay? So critical, actually, okay, the father of the theory is Marxist, okay? But I put critical theory here because in social science, okay, we tend to identify this whole idea as critical theory. Okay, even though some British cultural studies, feminism are all part of critical theory. Can you follow? Okay, but when we study critical theory, some will take the ritual perspectives, while other will take the transmission perspective. Okay, those who take the transmission perspective believe communication and flow of information is direct, and it has the power to control people. So they get this idea, and those who are very strict, they take the Marxist idea. Okay, so Marxism, remember, base, ideology, superstructure. And they say media especially is controlled by these people. Okay, the white people, the Americans. So the only way to change is you must revolt. Burn your television. Burn Netflix. Okay? And then they say, there are other ways also how they control us via political economy, the ownership of the media. Okay? And also through technological determinism. Remember just now when we discussed, it's as if everything is determined by the particular media and technology. On the other hand, you have a group of critical theorists that adopt the ritual perspective. Okay? So the ritual perspective, okay, starts with NEO-MARXISM because they introduce the idea of cultural industries. Okay? Here they say the influence, okay, that the status quo, right, maintain their power through culture. Okay, Can you understand so far? All right. Culture, once it's culture, then they see communication as a ritual process. Can you follow? Okay. Remember, culture is ordinary, pluralistic public forum. It's just telling us, okay, that the transmission of power or the maintenance of status quo is not usually happening via strict control of what we call it structures, but through the control of culture. But okay, with British cultural studies, they find that people do have power, that people can challenge the status quo. And they challenge status quo through their everyday experiences. Can you understand? All right. And then there are the idea of feminism. See? But feminism is a quite big theory, all right? But it adopts the critical idea because it wants to challenge the male status quo. It wants to challenge patriarchy. But even within feminism, there are those who are more, what we call it, prone to cultural approach. But there are also those who are prone to the critical approach. Okay? All right. So that should be the end for critical and cultural theory. Okay. So any questions? Okay. So critical and cultural theory, again, like I said, is a big umbrella theory. Okay. So in it, it questions status quo. So that is why, okay, most of the examples I give you are all the negative effect of media. Okay, in the next class, we will discuss post-positivism. Okay, so post-positivism is more optimistic of media power. Okay, so in next class, probably, okay, Gamon can go back to his Uniqlo shirts. Okay, because we'll be discussing, okay, theories that say, hey, it's okay to wear Uniqlo. All right. Can you understand? All right. Any questions? Oh, forgot. Next week is quiz. Isn't it? Oh, okay. Next week is quiz. So I will update you on the methods on how we will do it. But you just show up to class on Tuesday. Okay. So like I said, it will be 15 MCQ questions, chapter 1, 2, 3. Okay. So all of these critical cultural theory will not be in it. Critical cultural theory will be in quiz number 2. Okay? All right. Any questions? Last round?
No, madam.
Okay, thank you, Ideal. All right.
No question.
No question. Okay. All right. So if that is it, okay, we end the class today with Tasbih Kafara and Wal-As. Unless Zahid has a longer doa. Zahid, got doa? Huh? Is that tudung or what you are wearing? Hmm? Huh? Serban? Okay, now can look like an Arab terrorist. Or Palestinian. Okay? Alright, okay. So we end the class with Tasbih Farah wa As. See you next week. Assalamualaikum. Thank you very much. I will share the video later. Okay?
Okay, thank you, madam.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you, madam.
Dah lah dah.
Ni deh.